Hi guys. Okay, so I am basically making this video just to explain how you are expected to write your lab notebook, about your quizzes, and how we're going to be splitting up Group A and Group B. I just want to point out my email right here just in case you guys have any questions. I did create a Group Me, but obviously if you don't want to join, that's completely fine with me. You can always email me questions, sorry, and I will answer. If I don't answer really fast, just give me a 24-hour window, but I will definitely get to you. Okay, let's start with showing you guys your groups A and B. Okay, so this is going to be your group A, and this is going to be group B. I'm pointing it out just in case you guys have not seen that yet on Canvas. Let me show you guys how everything is going to be split in case you guys are still confused about the schedule. So for this upcoming week, the 14th and 18th, this upcoming week, Group A is going to be the first to come in person, and you guys are going to be working on the TLC experiment. So your whole notebook is going to be about the TLC experiment. Before you get to lab, your pre-lab has to be done for TLC. Now, meanwhile, Group B is going to be working online, and you guys are basically going to be doing recrystallization. For the following week, which is the week of the 21st and the 25th, Group A is going to be doing recrystallization online, and Group B is now going to be doing TLC in person. And that's basically how we're going to be switching every 2 weeks. Yes, every 2 weeks. Okay. So let me get to these steps right here. So before your lab day, you need to read the experiments from the lab manual and need to watch these videos. I cannot emphasize how important this is. You need to know the theory about the experiment in order for you to do the experiment. Back when I did my OChem labs, my IA would do like a 20 to 30 minute recap before lab, just to make sure that everybody knew. I am really not going to do that anymore. I can definitely give you that 10-minute recap, but it's definitely going to be more interactive. So I'll ask a question and you guys will answer, just to make sure that I know you guys are participating, that you guys are watching your videos. And after that, you will complete your pre-lab quiz and your pre-lab notebook. On the day of the lab, I already explained this to you guys. It's basically that we're going to be alternating between weeks. I feel like I'm talking so fast. After the lab day, you will complete the lab notebook and you will submit only one PDF file, and you will submit this under the assignment folder on Canvas. So let me talk about this really fast, and then I'll get back to the quiz and to the notebook. When you get to lab, you will pick wherever you want to stand, and you have to stay there for the rest of the semester. That way we can social distance, and it's just going to stay like this the whole semester. It's like a seating chart. Okay, let me go back to the pre-lab quiz. So a lot of you guys have been asking me about scanners. Let me explain how that works. So basically what happens is that when you take your quiz, let's say there's 6 questions. So 3 of those questions might be like you need to upload them, and 3 of them are just going to be multiple choice or drop down questions. So for the questions that have to be written, you need to scan them and upload them. So I'm going to be giving you tips on how to do that. I use my iPad or my phone. They're on Notes, the little camera. You click on it and then you put scan documents, and it takes a picture of it, scans it. Now to turn it in, I would AirDrop mine, or I would put it on my iCloud and it would just automatically be on my computer and I would download it. So those are all tips on how you can do it. Now, yes, you do have to turn in the scanned page during your quiz. It cannot be after your quiz. So you have to be able to time yourself on when you're going to scan and how you're going to scan it, and to be able to do the other questions that are multiple choice. I suggest, to me, it was easier to do the questions that are already on the screen. So like the drop down and the multiple choice. And then at the very end, I would scan, just to make sure that I had all that time to scan. So also preparing for the quiz makes it so much easier, because you're just going to be doing it so fast that you're going to have a lot of time to scan, trust me. If I did it, you can too. Okay, so for the pre-lab notebook, let me explain how that's going to work. Okay, so the pre-lab notebook is basically from title to procedure. And let me explain why. So you need to have this pre-lab because you cannot bring the lab manual into the lab. You can only bring the pre-lab. Before lab, I'm going to be making sure that everybody has their pre-lab. If you don't have your pre-lab, you can't really do your experiment. So I need to make sure that you do have it. Now, for your pre-lab, I'm going to be pushing a lot on you having your procedure and you having your experimental hazards. That is super important. If you don't have one of these sections, I'm just going to assume that you didn't really watch the videos and you really follow the instructions. So I'm just going to be really heavy on pushing those. So I'm going to be breaking each down. That way you guys don't have any question. Also, this lab manual is going to be typed. So it's so much easier. I used to write them, so it takes less time. Okay, so your title is basically just going to include your title. Please put your name and the date in the section. For your purpose, okay, let me explain that one a little bit. So your purpose is going to be composed of the theory of experiment, your application and usefulness of technique for that experiment. So how I did it, I read my lab manual and then I concluded what was the purpose of the whole section I just read. And I would add that and I would write it. And at the end, to just kind of close everything up, I would basically use these objectives and I would add them to my purpose. And it helps a lot because I can also tell that you guys read it and that you guys included these and you guys know what you are doing. Okay. So for apparatus and instrument, this is something that they have just added and I'm going to explain the difference. So an apparatus is anything that is glassware. So something like a glass pipette or a beaker, a flask, anything like that is going to be going under apparatus. An instrument is something like the IR machine, the melting point machine, and the LabQuest. If you guys have any questions about those and if you're confused, just let me know. Okay. So for experimental hazards, this is the one I said I was going to be pushing a lot because it just shows that you know what you're going to be working with and you know that it's corrosive or that it can burn you or that it can stain you. This part is really important. So you can either do it as a chart or a list. So let me show y'all what I mean by a list. Okay, this is an example that is posted on your Canvas site. So, okay, this is what I mean by just list. So he basically just put the chemical and he just put everything that it did. So basically, the breakdown of the hazards, the dangers, and the precautions. And you can just find this on the internet, and that's you can do it like this, or you can also do like a table, and you can put skin, eyes, and then you can just put if it does affect it or if it doesn't affect it. That works too. Okay. Next would be your pre-lab calculations. So these calculations are just going to be a layout. So this is not going to include any numbers. It is not going to include any data or anything like that. It's just going to include the layout of your calculation. So if you're doing percent error or percent yield, this is where you're going to put the equation for it. If you get a reaction, you can also put it in there and it'll be useful just in case you maybe need like the mechanism or something like that. You can definitely put it under your pre-lab calculations. Okay, your procedure. Like I said, you can't do your experiment without your procedure. You really need your procedure. So I am definitely going to put this, like, I really want you guys to make sure you guys have this one. You must use this notebook and not your textbook, like I said. Okay, so this section, like I said, is what I'm going to be asking for before you come into lab. You must have it. And for those of you who are doing it online for that week, I can't really check if you guys are doing your pre-lab notebook. The only thing I can check is if you guys turn the final notebook in. So I'm just hoping that you guys time yourself with the notebook and turn it in on time. Okay, so this last part, the post-lab notebook. So the changes to experimental procedure, these can be stated on the board when you come into lab. I can mention them to you. If you guys notice a change, definitely put it in there too. I am not going to penalize you guys for that. But more than anything, I will tell you now, very important also, if I don't specify a change or if you guys don't see a change, still put no change being told or nobody told me about a change or something like that. And just don't leave it blank because it is useful to know that there wasn't a change. Okay, so for your data and analysis, here you're going to put your graphs, you're going to put your data, and you're going to put your post-lab calculations. So, for example, for the recrystallization lab, you have these tables right here. If you want to copy these tables and just put them on your lab report, go ahead and do that if it makes your life so much easier. You can do that. If we give you graphs or you need to print out a graph, maybe from the LabQuest, it's also going to go under the data. Also, your post-lab calculations, whatever you did for your pre-lab calculations, in your post-lab calculations, you are going to plug in your numbers from your lab that you got and put them into your calculations, and this is where you will put it. Okay, for your conclusions. Okay. It has to be in passive voice. It's a recap of theory and how it ties with the experimental procedure. It explanation of problems encountered. So if your results were wet and you couldn't really get enough yield, or maybe how to efficiently work out your time or something that you could have done maybe a little bit different, go ahead and put it in your conclusions too. Also, how this applies to the real world, add it into the end of the conclusion. Maybe that will help you tie all your conclusion together and make it better. And how I did my conclusion, I restated a little bit of my purpose, and then I explained my results. Obviously, you have to explain your results. And then I tied it in by saying why my results were high, why my results were low. And at the very end, I explained how it's used in the real world. And that's basically the end of your lab report, for the exception of your post-lab questions. So your post-lab questions are going to be found at the end of your lab. So these questions right here, sometimes they have data analysis, but they're the same things as the post-lab questions. So these are going to be at the very end of your lab notebook. So please make sure not to miss these. I will definitely remind you if you have a lab or if I upload a video, like don't forget to put your data analysis, but it does have to be included in your whole lab notebook. And then you guys are just going to submit it as a PDF file. Okay. Now, this grading policy, punctuality is going to be based on your in-person lab, attitude, participation, safety, and cleanup as well. And that is pretty much all I have for you guys. So if you guys have any questions about anything, if you guys still have questions about your lab reports, actually I should explain the dates of your lab reports. So your lab reports are going to be due every single Sunday. Our lab is on Wednesday, so you should have your pre-lab done by Wednesday at 8 in the morning when you come into lab. And you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and at Sunday at 11:59, you should be turning in your whole lab report. So please don't forget that. Also, don't forget to do your quizzes. This weekend, the 13th, the Sunday, we have a quiz for the safety lab and your safety lab notebook, which is 20 important safety rules due. So don't forget to do that one. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, like I said, send me a message through GroupMe or email me. Also, I'm going to be sending a video for recrystallization, and I'm going to be sending a video for TLC. I'm just going to be doing PowerPoints and explaining just the major things of it. So if you guys do have any questions, email me about those too. Okay, thank you. Bye.